Good evening. It's Vijay here. Today is Sunday, 31st of August 2025. Welcome to our weekend special session where we discuss about what's happened last week and the events of last week. What kind of shadow will they cast in the coming week as well as on the coming weeks and maybe months. Now, today's topic is something on black swan events. And should we be prepared for a black swan event in the near future? Now, what exactly is a black swan event? A black swan event is an unpredictable, high impact, but rare event. So, you see, actually, by the nature, we should not be able to predict that event itself. And then, if that event were to occur, then what will be the repercussions also? We will not be able to mention. For instance, 9/11 was a black swan event. You see, when nobody thought that 9/11 will happen, and when it happened, the consequences were very, very severe. COVID, for instance, was a black swan event. If you take 26/11 was a black swan event. Yeah, the 2004 elections, where Congress had no chance, the UPA had no chance, and it came to power, was a black swan event. Harshad Mehta getting caught in 1992 was a black swan event. Similarly, the dot com peak was is a black swan event. So black swan events, push all of the people on one side, and then the markets react completely opposite. Mostly black swan events are events which are destructive in nature. So, for instance, in 2019, when Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, came up with this wonderful idea of giving corporates tax benefits, was, in my opinion, a white swan event because the markets took off from there, and nobody had anticipated that government will give some goodies. Similarly, in 2018, when the PSU banks was recapitalization was supposed to happen, and that was also a white swan event where the markets took off. So you have white swan events, or you can say pink swan events. Some people call it pink swan because pink swan is rare, black swan is rare. So pink swan events are where the good news is there and the market propels. For instance, in May, for instance, we had something like a pink swan event where the ceasefire happened on a Saturday, and nobody had anticipated that will happen. And on Monday, the market took off and Nifty went up by about 1,000 points. So last week, for instance, if you see, the markets opened bright most of the time. Wednesday was a holiday, but they could not sustain those higher levels. And in the last 1 hour, they seem to be, losing all the grips. The blue bulls just ran away from the scene, and the bears took control. That happened even on Friday, soon after the AGM of Reliance Industries. Now, that gives us we should now begin to wonder whether the bull market is under threat. See, from last June 2024, soon after the elections, I became bullish. I continued to become bull. I continued to be bullish, and was more bullish on after August 15th, when the Prime Minister made the promise that the GST rates will come down. However, Friday's closing is below those that previous Friday. The August 15th Independence Day's speech, the prior day to that, it's below that. So now our question is: so all the good news which was supposed to come has come, and yet the markets are trading lower than that day. Generally, this is a sign of a market whose structure is not good. However, I've seen in the past, when everything is lost or when everything is seemingly lost is when the market turns upwards. Similarly, when everything seems hunky dory, the market turns downwards. So let's see what are the events which could be considered as a black swan event. So over the weekend, I've been thinking a lot about what can happen. I believe that when good news is not being factored into the market, is not being given the due importance by the market, then a bad news can bring down the market much, much further. So while we should be bullish, we are completely invested, but we have now decided to be a little bit of a hedging position in the market we have taken last week. I had mentioned that we are holding silver in our portfolios. We have increased our silver portfolio and we have added gold into our portfolio. And last week we also added Hang Seng into our portfolio, in some of our portfolios, not all of our portfolios. All our portfolios contain silver. A couple of portfolios contain gold. A single portfolio contains Hang Seng Bees, which is the ETF on the Hang Seng index. So why have we done that? We have done that because the market is somewhat concerned about things which are not visible to us. A black swan event usually happens of based on some event. Some people know about it, even though FIIs are, even though DIs have been buying left, right, center vis-a-vis what FIIs have sold, yet the market is not able to hold its higher levels. So on Friday evening, I was just thinking, how do we approach the market on Monday? So if you look at what has happened on Friday evening after the market is closed, is that Japan has promised large investments into the Indian markets soon after the close has happened. So that's a very good news. Then the weekend SEO, the meeting between Russia, China, and India has gone off very well, and therefore one should expect that some good things will happen, continue to happen on the China-India front. They've already opened the Manasarovar. We have already said, that we will cooperate for a longer term, and then we are also talking of some peace on the border. So these are all good signs. Then on GDP numbers came after market. They have surpassed expectations, spectacular numbers. We also saw rupee has weakened on Friday. Rupee weakening is many times good unless it is engineered by the US, who wants to destroy our Indian currency. US is very well known for doing these kind of things. In the past, they have done it to many countries. So the rupee, which fell 75 paise, is unprecedented. We have not seen a 75 paise fall in a single day on a close to close basis in the Indian rupee for a very long time. So, is there more to it than just selling by the exporters and by the FIS, or is it a natural course of our rupee weakening because of our exports coming down, or the feeling that exports will come down because of the 50% tariffs? So, this is a question mark actually. Nobody can say with certainty. Then you look at DIs are continuing to put money left, right, center. Even on Friday, they have done that. Then there are heavy shorts in the system by FIIs as far as the Nifty futures is concerned. They have now gone to 92%, which is the highest ever, I suppose, in history. Now, generally, when FIIs have that kind of heavy short position, the markets don't go further down, or they may go about 3 to 5%. But they can suddenly shoot up if there is some sliver of a good news. So that is one thing. Then, if you look at, apart from FIs who are there in the Nifty futures, the big guys, the big bulls, like Vijay Kedia, for instance, are not willing to invest in the market. Lots of mutual funds have a lot of cash in the market. So, by and large, people, the big guys who are having money, have not yet invested in the market, which is actually a good sign, because then that means cash is waiting on the sidelines. Sentiment is very downbeat, which is also a good thing, because highly oversold markets, sentiment downbeat, and DIs buying, specific DIs buying, large ultra high net worth individuals not buying, and FIs selling, keeping a high proportion in and short positions in Nifty future, actually is a good contrarian indicator. Now, to add some more, good news was the phone call between the President of Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky, and the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, on the sidelines of the SCO meet in Beijing. Now, generally, leaders talk during where they are sitting in their home country. I would have expected Mr. Zelensky's phone call to have had with Mr. Modi when Mr. Modi was in India, but it happened just before the SCO meeting, and that too it has happened in a foreign country, in China. That is generally a very, very good sign, which means the Ukrainian problem, which of course in the note issued by the Ukrainian Prime Minister's office talks of he having discussed with India as to how to sort out the issue with Russia. So it's well known that India is friendly with both Russia as well as Ukraine. So maybe there is a chance for India to intervene, unlike America, and then sort out the issue. So these are all very, very good news. Now, what could be the black swan if this is if all this good news is there? What could be the black swan? Two things have happened in the last couple of days. The US, the big think tank which is behind Trump, has started targeting Modi directly, calling it the Modi's war. The Ukraine war is being termed as Modi's war. Now, which means that they may take further action. Now, where can they take action? They have also said that Modi's war, because the oligarchs in India are buying oil, crude from Russia, refining it, and selling it to Ukraine and Europe. Not Ukraine, sorry, Europe. Now, that is what they are saying, the oligarchs. When I say oligarchs, oligarchs are rich people very close to the power center. So they are targeting Ambani, Reliance, as well as Naira Energy. Naira Energy, of course, SR used to own it. Now they are no longer owning it. But the target seems to be Mr. Ambani of Reliance. That is one. The second part is Mr. Adani, who has got a case against him in the US courts. The summons were issued in February. It ended somewhere in mid August. And the Indian government has issued the summons to Mr. Adani. So Ambani and Adani are being targeted, and they could be targeted by, you see, the government. If they are not heeding to the summons, the US government can send a red corner notice for Interpol or something. They can create a problem for Mr. Adani. Now, if you recollect, during 2023, when Hindenburg wrote a report on Adani, the Indian markets crashed and they were down for 2 months. Now, the worst case scenario will be Mr. Ambani and Adani being targeted because they don't like Mr. Modi. That is, Trump's team, including Trump, don't like the Prime Minister. They believe that Adani and Ambani are very close to the Prime Minister. So if you want to attack the Prime Minister, the way to attack would be through, through finding or taking action against Adani and Ambani. So this is a very rare chance. It's very unlikely to happen. However, if there is going to be any black swan event, then this could be the black swan event. So what should happen on Monday? Monday, I expect markets to open higher because of so much of good news over the weekend. Even if they don't open higher, even if there is a selling in mid session because of rupee weakening, I expect the markets to close much higher than the lows which we would see tomorrow, that is Monday. Now, if that does not happen, then what is the reason why the selling should be there? So we don't know what will happen on Monday, and I don't want to predict it. But I can only think that if this happens, I will do this. If that happens, we should do that. So I am going into Monday with all our bullish positions intact. Now, positivity will mean that, okay, we will continue with our bullish positions in Indian stocks and to some extent in silver. If there is negativity, then what I would like to do is that I will sell some of the stocks, Indian stocks, and then buy gold. We already have silver. So I will buy gold and I will also buy Hang Seng Bees, because Hang Seng index is one of the most undervalued index. China index is undervalued, but we don't have an access on the ETF. We don't have a China ETF in our market. So we only have Hang Seng. So Hang Seng is a proxy for China. So if we buy Hang Seng index, we believe that it will do very well because it's nowhere connected to India and it is highly undervalued. So we will continue to hold if nothing, if the market closes positive or at least significantly away from the lows of the day. We will not hold quite a bit of our position, maybe about 15%. If you're around, so totally we will hold 50% in Indian equity and 50% non-Indian equity, which is precious metals and Hang Seng Bs, if the markets were to close lower. Because there is no reason for us to believe that the markets will close lower. For that, we need to be bullish. At least we are bullish, and we will only act if there is a problem tomorrow in the markets. So whatever you do, I hope you are successful. Thank you for joining me.